Alright, as a concerned American citizen, we need to have a serious conversation about the cognitive state of the president. I should not have to wake up every single morning as somebody who's 23 years old now and which the president struggled to form a coherent sentence. In this clip, he takes credit for predicting 9/11. We will get there in just 1 second. It's as crazy as it sounds, but also this speech is littered with the type of divisiveness that has become all too commonplace in American politics over the past decade. Due to Donald Trump. I mean, let me just show you this clip right here of Donald Trump speaking to service members in Norfolk, Virginia for the upcoming 250th anniversary of the Navy. It's happening on October 13 and Trump has been giving speeches. In this first clip, Donald Trump tells our Navy that we have to take care of this little knot on our shoulder called the Democrats. It may not seem like a big comment, but as I play the comments throughout this speech, you will notice that he is trying to goad and rile up the audience against Democrats and quote-unquote Barack Hussein Obama. I mean, take a look at this clip.
But we have to take care of this little gnat that's on our shoulder called the Democrats. They want to give all of our money to illegal aliens that pour into the country. And, you know, I have a bigger heart than they do. But the problem is when you do that, they come in by the millions. Everybody wants that, so you can't.
So he just told the Navy that essentially half of the American people, the Democrats, need to be taken care of like nuts. But in this next clip, Donald Trump tries to goad the Navy into buying Obama by going Barack Hussein Obama, but is met with mostly silence because the military is not. You are not really supposed to get inherently political. You are not supposed to get openly political even if the commander-in-chief is standing in front of you trying to goad you into hating half the country. Could you imagine if President Obama for 1 second? Imagine if President Obama had spoken to service members and tried to say that Republicans were nuts and made for Republicans. And while that was happening, the National Guard was being deployed into only Republican state, targeting a Republican governor, not even talking to Republican governor, making fun of them while mobilizing the military into their states. There would be an uproar. Yet, when Donald Trump does it, they number one, normalize it. But then they call us divisive for calling it out. If I say that it's, a bit fascist for the President of the United States to goad the military into buying half the country, and a little bit fascist to mobilize the military, they will say that I am divisive for using the word fascist when Trump is the one saying this to our service members.
That everybody loves. He was my doctor in the White House, and I got to know him very well. He was also the doctor for Barack Hussein Obama. Have you heard of him? And he was the doctor for...
I mean, Donald Trump left a space there. I'm not even joking. He left a space to try to get both from the crowd. Listen to this.
Hussein Obama. Have you heard of him? And he was the doctor for a man named Bush. And at a press conference, they asked him, who's in the best shape? Who's the healthiest? Who's the strongest? Who's the best physical specimen of the three? He said, that's easy. President Donald Trump. And I said, I love this guy.
Trump is definitely in better physical shape than Barack Obama. But this is the point. Trump, just a few weeks ago, it might have been over a month ago now, posted an AI image of Chicago being invaded by the quote-unquote Department of War. It was an AI image of Chicago up in flames. And you can say that he is joking. But you cannot just call everything a joke over and over and over to justify electing a clone. Donald Trump has said that, his Chicago thing was a joke, but the military is actually in Chicago now. He said that his targeting of opponents is just messing around. Yet Comey is actually being indicted now after he asked Bondi. So Donald Trump standing here in front of our service members saying this is absurd. It is divisive. And there is no comparison. There is no analog for Joe Biden or Obama doing any of this whatsoever. There's one comment they point to from Joe Biden where he says, mega Republicans. I am not talking about all Republicans. Just mega Republicans are divisive. That's all Joe Biden says. And they claim he's like a dictator for saying that. Watch this clip of Donald Trump speaking about Osama bin Laden and the World Trade Center. He says, please remember I wrote about bin Laden a year before it happened. He began to rant about 9/11 for another minute. Just take a listen. This one is going especially viral.
Politically correct anymore. And history will never forget that it was the SEALs who stormed the compound at Osama bin Laden and put a bullet in his head. Remember that? And please remember, I wrote about Osama bin Laden exactly 1 year ago, 1 year before he blew up the World Trade Center. And I said, you got to watch Osama bin Laden. And the fake news would never let me get away with that statement unless it was true. But I said 1 year before to Pete Hegseth, I said 1 year before, where's Pete? In the book, I wrote, whatever the hell the title, I can't tell you. But I can tell you there's a page in there devoted to the fact that I saw somebody named Osama bin Laden, and I didn't like it, and you got to take care of him. They didn't do it. A year later, he blew up the World Trade Center. So we got to take a little credit because nobody else is going to give it to me.
Could you imagine if Joe Biden went on a rampage? This unhinged on stage about 9/11 conservatives would have this as a 3-week news cycle, a 3-month news cycle. Yet every single day, Donald Trump does something like this. Every single day, there's a new type of Watergate. And just to add some context, when I was doing research, there was a book in 2000 that was published by Trump. But it was ghost written. It's been proven to be ghost written. I'm 90% sure Trump has not even read the book. That's why he says, I cannot tell you the title. There is one sentence in there that refers to the 1993 bombing of the World Trade Center. And it says Osama bin Laden is a dangerous person. No, this is not some sort of a prediction that takes any sort of intelligence to find out. In 1993, there was already a bombing of the World Trade Center from Osama bin Laden. And Trump was just writing about that, saying that he's dangerous. And it was not even Trump. It was his ghostwriter. This is absolutely absurd. He does not even know that he is lying in this. This is the 25 Amendment type of stuff right here. This is the 25 Amendment stuff. Here is Donald Trump referring to World War I and World War II, saying we won everything in between that I do not. Later on in this speech, he says we could have won Vietnam if we fought harder. So then he's conceding we did lose some wars, but not in between World War I and World War II. I do not even know how to.
Doing a job. I said, Pete, what do you think? You know, we used to call it Secretary of War, the Department of War, the War Department. Now we call it Defense. And I don't know, would you ever want to, you know, we won World War I. We won World War II. We won everything in between. We won everything before. And all of a sudden they decide to change the name. They went woke then too, you know. Woke is a long term.
You could have literally brought up anything and PTXS would have been like, I love it, sir. I love the idea that you just brought up because PTXS is an absolute espresso. So if you want to support that, as always, you can hit that subscribe button, leave a like on this video. If you stuck around at the end, drop a blue heart in the comments, and until next time, I will see you soon.